Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave. Forgot to turn that light off, I see. Well, that's just one minor thing compared to everything else. Oh my gosh. I literally was 30 seconds away from, getting all this put together this morning here before it went live. Sadly, I've added a memorial here. It's just a very small, short memorial, but we're going to start off with that. A good friend passed away. I was at his memorial over the weekend. His name is D. Price. He was a banjo player and really all-around musician, could literally play anything with strings. I would say, and I think I can say this truthfully, I've played music with just tons of really great musicians. And in the 40-some years that I've been involved in music. And I would say if you were to group all, like take a top 10, he would definitely be in the top 10 of all of the musicians I've ever played with in terms of really being able to play. I mean, just could really master his instrument. So here's a little tribute to D. Wayne Price. He's playing the banjo on one of my songs here, and it's called Last Warrior. Yeah, D was just one really, really fine musician. He could play banjo super well. He could play guitar really well. And I'm sure, I never heard him play mandolin a lot, but I'm sure he could play circles around me on a mandolin. He was very, very good. And he is missed. Moving on, there's a lot to get through here this morning. I did a few little shop improvement things over the weekend, and most of these, well, I don't even think I included everything, but here's a few of them. Thought I'd show you a couple of shop improvement projects I did. I finally put a light in up here, And that's a good thing. It really lights the desk up much better, or the workbench, I should say. And the reason I put that up there, or the reason I finally did that, is that Harbor Freight had those on sale. They're only $3 cheaper than normal, but I was going there anyway, and I thought, oh, what the heck, I'm going to get one of those and put that above my bench. And sure enough, I should have done that 20 years ago. I started teaching Sue how to weld this morning with this little Art Captain welder, and that went okay. She's a little intimidated by it, but I think she'll be fine. Another shop improvement project was this deal here. I got the last tray made. These are the ones that I cut out with my laser cutter, and they just take up so much less space than these big plastic things. Plus, the plastic things, you can't stick the sockets on here. These big impact sockets, they bump each other, and you can't get them down on there. You can see here how it broke one of them off. So this is far better. I still have to do it on this side here. I have to make one for this one. And you can see it's just giving me a lot more room to put these things in here because everything's so spread out now. So I'm real happy with the laser cut socket holders. Very happy with that. Another little shop improvement project was just making this little tray to keep some of my drill, different kinds of, I don't know, what do you call these things? The ends for the drill. Screwdriver bits, drill. They're like drill bits, but they're not really drill bits like people think of. So anyway, things like that. You know what I'm saying. I just can't think of words. And another shop improvement project was this little bench. I bought that at Harbor Freight too. I had one of those. This one's a little upgraded one. This one has a thicker pad and I think a little stronger wheels and things. The old one, Isaac and JR kind of confiscated it, so I went and bought this one. I think it's a little better. I like it because it sits lower. I have this bigger one over here, as you can see. It's got my shirt on it. But this one is fine. It's just that it sits a lot higher. It works great, but it just sits too high for a lot of things that I'm working on. The saga of the lawnmower is I've tried everything under the sun, and when I say everything, I mean everything. Everything has been tried. I took the flywheel off to see if there was anything under the flywheel. There's nothing under there that would amount to anything. I reversed these relays to see if they would have any impact. Nothing has had an impact. I've got the new carburetor on there with the new sensor. Nothing. Not one thing has fixed anything. Sue is saying, check the exhaust, check the muffler. Maybe it's clogged. Other people have suggested that also. But a muffler like that, I think, would be pretty hard to clog. But I'm going to check it just because I don't know anything else to check. I'm trying to call the guy that was selling these early on. He's really smart on these things. I haven't been able to get a hold of him yet, but if I can get a hold of him, he'll probably give me some idea of something else to check. But right now, I'm out of ideas. I'll go through a list of things I've tried on this thing here in a minute. I'll just read them all to you. You won't believe how many things I've tried. And I know I didn't get all of them on this list. I know I didn't. I just can't think of all of them. Anyway, I'm going to back up the truck here on a couple of things. First of all, on that welder, that little Art Captain welder, I still love it. It's a great welder. It's nothing negative or anything. It's just that there is one point that I want to bring out in case anybody does buy it. They'll know ahead of time. And that is that the LCD screen or the LED screen, whatever you want to call that thing, that reads out your amps, Sue couldn't read it either. I thought it was just me being colorblind, but at least I look good in blue. Anyway, I thought it was just me probably that couldn't read that screen. And I really have trouble reading it. I have to put my hands over it like this and see it. Once I darken it up, I can see it. But Sue couldn't read it either. In fact, she was worse at it than I was. I was amazed. I thought it was just me. So that screen is hard to read. I'll just tell you up front. So other than that, I really love that little welder. It's just a great welder. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing is I skipped one of my points here. I make an outline and then I skip half of it. I do that all the time, and I'm not kidding you. The next day I'll go, oh, shoot, I forgot to talk about this. I forgot to talk about that. So anyway, I tell you, I'm a terrible reader. That's just where it boils down to. I got a nice little card. It's talking about feeling better and all that kind of stuff and going through some tough times. And anyway, it's from Steve Mays. He says, just a little something from South Central Kentucky that I hope will brighten your day. Well, he included a gift with this. He sent me an antique tool. Now, I've received quite a few tools from a lot of viewers and just, well, you've seen a lot of the tools from these companies and things. But by far, this is the most antique tool that anybody's ever sent me. I mean, this is really antique. In fact, I think it might be 5,000 years old. Seriously. Now I can't get it out. Anticlimactic? Can you say that? Ah, doggone it. There it is. Now there's an old tool right there. Can you see it? It's, this is what, you know, people that collect artifacts like this, Native American artifacts, this would be known as a drill. Whether they used them as a drill or not, I can't really say that, but that's what they call them in archaeological terms. And the idea is that you would twist that through a piece of leather and make a hole, or, you know, something along those lines. Maybe even drill it into a piece of wood to make a hole. But, you know, I think that they may have used it for that, no doubt. I think that's very possible. But I also think they may have used them for, like, stabbing fish on a spear or things like that. Could have just as easily. So, I mean, I don't think there's any one thing that they could have used that for. But I do want to say thanks to Steve Mays for sending it to me. It's very nice of you, and a nice card. Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate it. Let's see now. I think I'm back to caught up approximately. So the water wheel is the title of the video. And, well, it ain't good. Well, my friends, the water wheel is not functioning presently. Can you say, well, that ain't good? I knew you could. Well, it's not all bad news. It's actually on purpose. It was planned, if you will. I haven't done anything much on the actual building other than I have taken the wheel off. And you can see there the spring is still flowing, but it is minimal. I tuck pointed all this wall. It was a lot of work, actually. I tried to get in, you know, make sure that I got grout into the areas where it was leaking through the wall. I think I did that pretty well. I also piled rocks under the foundation because it had washed out, and you can see there I've put concrete and mortar up under there to hold those rocks in. Hopefully that won't be any further problem. I also grouted this, I'm too close to it really, but I've grouted this crack between the wall and the wood, and this wall had just gotten out of plumb, this rock wall. I don't know how that happened. I had been checking plumb all the way through it, but I don't know. You know, if it can, it will, and it did. So there you go. And anyway, and so I, grouted the inside cracks also. So now it's really sealed up tight, other than, of course, the big hole for the window and this big hole here. And I will probably do something here to close that off a little bit more. I wanted to let this all dry out real good before I put the wheel back on it. That way, if it does start leaking through again, I'll see exactly where it's leaking and maybe be able to fix it once again. Sue's done more work here and cleaned this all up and got it up in pretty good shape as far as the rock goes. But, I'm so busy with everything right now, I can't get to the building too much, but I wanted to at least get this rock problem solved here, or the rock wall problem solved. And I think we're doing that. I think it's going to be fine. Yeah, and I did a whole lot more things over the weekend. It was a busy time, very busy. And even this morning's been very busy. I leave out little things like I fixed a toilet this morning, and I leave out, like how many times I fixed the implement on the back of the tractor this morning, and it's broke again. And, I just leave out lots of stuff. You would not believe how much stuff happens around here. And it's just constant. You would not believe it. You wouldn't believe it if you were here and saw it. You wouldn't even believe it. All right. I think, I was going to read the list of all the things I did on the lawn tractor. So and this is the short list. I'm sure there's way more stuff than this. But in terms of the gas tank, I've cleaned it. I've made sure the cap is vented. I've checked the filler tube. Everything's perfect there. There's nothing wrong there. I guarantee it 100%. Fuel lines, I tested them, checked them a bunch of different times, and now they've all been replaced. The fuel filter, I tested and put them on and off a dozen times, changed it at least 3 times or 4 times maybe. Finally, I've now removed the fuel filter just to bypass it to make sure that couldn't be the problem. And that's only temporary, you understand, but it's completely out of the picture. That didn't fix anything. Carburetor, cleaned it 2 times and worked on the fuel sensor a couple of times. Bypassed the fuel sensor, tried that. Now I've replaced the whole carburetor and including a new sensor. Didn't help anything. I've taken the flywheel off at least twice, removed every, it's all cleaned out under there too. Everything's clean on the engine. Everything's clean. But there's nothing under the flywheel that could create a problem. I've just wanted to make sure though, and there's nothing under there that could cause a problem. There's no condenser. There's no nothing under there. There is under there a large coil. I don't hesitate calling it a coil. It's multiple wrapped pieces of copper, and it's heavy copper, and it's a whole bunch of those it's like a stator, if you will, around in there. But it looks perfect. It doesn't look like there could be any problem. There's nothing burnt or anything. And even if there was something really bad about that, I don't think it would start or run or charge or whatever it's doing. Anyway, I don't know what that really does. I think it charges the batteries, what I think it does. But anyway, that looks like that's fine. That's the only thing under there. So then I have set the valves at least twice. They appear to be perfect. I don't see any problem there. The only thing I haven't done so far that I can think of is I haven't messed with the muffler. I can't believe that would be it. I mean, that would just blow me away if it was. And why would it only be a problem after it heats up if it was the muffler? Usually that would make it hard to start. It doesn't. It's not hard to start. It runs fine for 10 minutes and then it's a mess. I haven't messed with the governor. I can't hardly see how the governor would cause that either because, it gets hot. Now it doesn't run anymore after it gets hot. Generally speaking, if something like that's bad, it's bad all the time. It's not just bad when it gets warm, generally. The only other thing I haven't done that I can think of, these are the only 3 things I could think of, the muffler, the governor, and the third thing is to tear the whole engine down. And I'll do that if I have to, but I can't see what that would fix. even if I did tear the whole engine down. And I know some people are saying, well, it might be the, bad rings or something, and they're heating up. Maybe, but that's a stretch, I think. Maybe. It's possible. I just don't know what else it could be. There doesn't seem to be an ECU or ECM on it, at least nothing that I can find. And I've looked that thing over upside down, sideways, every way you can look, and I don't see nothing like that. If they've got one of those on there, it's hidden really well. That's all I can say about that. So I'm done. I don't know what else to do. So I got to get a hold of this Rob guy. He's really smart on these engines and on this tractor. He really is. Probably should have called him day one, but I thought, well, I'll figure this out. This ain't that big a deal. Well, it turns out it's a big deal because I sure can't figure it out. And I pretty much can fix this kind of stuff, and I can't fix this thing. So I don't know what it is. David Tharp was the first one in today. Brian Byler's there. Joe Nigan looking for question marks. David Tharp says, old age comes at a bad time. When you finally know everything, you start forgetting everything you know. Don't make me raise my arm like that, okay? Oh, this is bad. The shoulder thing, somebody said rotator cuff. It's probably something like that. It's bad. It's not good at all. Moving on down. Bill Rhodes, good afternoon. Well, good afternoon to you. Wavy Gravy, at my age, if I start dating a woman, at least I don't have to worry about meeting her parents. Let's see. After we went live, David Thorpe says, when someone asks me what I do over the weekend, I just squint and ask, why? What did you hear? Let's see. Bill Mumbo, condolences, Jerry. Yeah, well, thank you. Several there, Ben Boyd and Joe Knoll. Yeah, it's sad to lose a guy like that. I'm trying to think, and I don't want to say this to, I could be wrong, but as far as I can think, in this area now, and I'm talking the general Rolla area, in maybe 50-mile radius. I think D was the last super picker here. This was a hotbed of super pickers when I moved down here in the 90s. They've all died off. They're all gone. Like Leon, he's what I call a super picker. Leon is. And I guess I could even call Bill Pilliard a super picker. He's really good on his instrument. But Bill's about the last one now, I think, in terms of what I would call a super picker in this area. I am not a super picker. I just beat on it and make noise. But these guys are what I call super pickers. D was one of them, and it's sad to see them all gone. They're just all gone. And nobody's picking up where they left off. It's sad. Let's see. Joe Crow. Sorry if I lost your friend. Yep, Joe too. And Bill Webb. Good afternoon, Jerry and friends. It was 53 this morning in Commerce, Texas. Really nice weather. Yeah, we've had several days now in the low 40s. It's crazy how cold it's been here in the morning. Sue is freezing. She's just running around with coats on and hoods on and everything, and I have a flannel shirt on, but it's to me, it's wonderful. I love this kind of weather. If it stay like this all year round, I'd love it. Chipwood says, when you were building instruments, did you ever think of using a CNC machine? And what is your opinion of luthiers using them? I don't have any problem with it. All your big manufacturers are doing it that way now. That was the main reason I said built by a human on the last mandolin I built. I said world's finest mandolin ever built by a human. It's because most of them are built on machine now. And even the ones where they claim this is a handmade instrument, 90% of it's made on a machine and they detail it by hand, handmade. Yeah. Well, anyway, they don't hand carve very many of them anymore. There's probably some that are still done, but you know what I'm saying. It's 99% machine made these days. I don't have a problem with it really, as long as, you know, I don't know how to say it really. As long as you're using high quality material and you're still looking it over by eye and hand and all that, I don't have too much problem with it. But I never did it. I tried to make a duplicator once to duplicate my tops, and I got close. It just didn't suit me. Chipwood, your artifact is the original multi-tool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I really like that. That's neat. I have found a number of these drills here on the farm. I have not found a single one of them that's whole, though. All of them have been broken. So it's kind of neat to have a whole one here to show other people what these should look like. Like I found like the tips like this. I found like that much of them, and maybe even the middle of one and that kind of thing. And I found the base of one, but I've never found the whole thing. This was a very common tool that they had. In case you're wondering, like, was that a unique, one-of-a-kind thing? No, it's not. This was something very common. They made a lot of these. They had a definite purpose for them, whatever that purpose was, whether it was simply drilling or whether it really was for stabbing a fish or something like that. I have no idea, but anyway, they're old too. Most of this kind of stuff is way older than most people think. People think of it like Columbus time, Most of this stuff is way older than that. Most of this stuff is 5,000 years old, that kind of age. Not all of it, obviously. Some of it's 2,000 or 3,000 years old, but a lot of it, there's a lot of it around the 4,000 or 5,000 year old age bracket. Let's see, move on down. Bill Webb, dang, I thought you were going to say the water wheel wasn't turning because the stream had dried up. Well, are you disappointed? No, it didn't dry up. To our knowledge and to everybody else's knowledge that's ever owned this that we've talked to, that spring has never dried up completely. It's as low as It's about as low as I've ever seen it right now. It's pretty low. And I'll tell you right now, too, I went out metal detecting for a little while, just maybe 30 or 40 minutes over the weekend. And the ground is rock hard. You couldn't stick a pocket knife in the ground. And there's no way you could. I'm not exaggerating. You couldn't take a pocket knife and stick it with the blade all the way to the handle. You could not get that done. That's how hard the ground is right now. It is so flipping hard, you wouldn't believe it. We need rain bad. Eddie D. Hi, Jerry. Well, hello there, Eddie. Rod Wentler. Jerry, after all you have done on the mower, the computer control is seeming like a possible suspect. The computer stuff is our enemy. Well, as far as I can tell, there's no computer thing on this one. That's what I'm saying. That ECU or ECM or whatever you want to call that thing, either the unit or the module, it doesn't seem to have one. As far as I can tell, it doesn't have one. That's what I'm hoping to talk to this Rob about and see if it does. And maybe I just can't find it. I seriously have been in it, under it, over it, every side direction you can think of, put lights everywhere. I don't see nothing. So the only thing I found is those two relays, and I've swapped the wires on. That was one of the things on my list I didn't say. See, I've swapped the wires on the relays. There's plenty of other things I've tried too that didn't make my list here. So yeah, I don't know. Might be a computer thing, but I can't find it if it is. Captain Bubba, does the engine have a low pressure oil sensor? I don't think so. I don't think so. I could ask Rob that too, or if Rob's really sharp on this. I mean, like if I give him all the symptoms, he'll either have an idea or he'll be going, well, if you've checked all that, I don't have any other idea either. I mean, like, it's I just don't know. But it's a good question. The oil sensor thing is a good question, but I don't think it's got that. as far as I know, it doesn't. Harley Handler message Terry fixes. He's a lawnmower guy. Yeah. Well, I'm a lawnmower guy too. I grew up in a lawn service. I'm seriously telling you, you really don't understand how much I do know about these things. I don't know a lot about the electronic stuff. I'm telling you, my knowledge is old school. But I could literally, when I was in the 4th grade, and I'm not making this up, I could literally tear an engine completely down, grind the valves, hone the cylinders, put new rings in it, everything completely when I was in the 4th grade. And from then on, I've done all that my whole life. Now, I got away from it over the last 20, 30 years, maybe 40 years even, really. And so it's kind of passed me by, but I do understand this stuff. So it's not like I'm a dummy doing this. Or really, I can't think of, in fact, I can't think of anybody that, I hate to say it this way, it sounds like a brag, but I can't really think of anybody that knows any more about it than I do. Other than this Rob fella. This Rob guy is really sharp on this stuff. So if I get a hold of him, yeah, I don't know. If he doesn't know, then it ain't going to get fixed. That's all I can tell you. Eddie D. Hi, Jerry. I think the valves are faulty. Maybe the exhaust valve is starting to burn. Yeah, maybe. It's possible, I guess. It's possible. Maybe. It just seems weird that it starts so easy and you don't hear any valve noise. Like, see, generally when a valve's sticking or something else, you'll hear it going, you'll hear a chug in there. You'll hear an extra sound. This motor sounds perfect. It doesn't sound good. It sounds perfect. It sounds like it's brand new. That's all I can tell you. I'm not saying it's not, though, because it could be. I just don't know. But I hate to tear the whole engine apart, and at least not until I talk to this Rob guy. Kevin Allen, research the effects of heat on the flywheel magnet. Research the effects of heat on the flywheel magnets. Wake magnet will affect spark. Yeah, it's an idea. I don't think they're getting that hot, though. I mean, why would they get hot? It's just a spinning flywheel. It's got a fan on it, I don't know. Maybe. I'm not saying it's not. These are the things, when I'm arguing with you like this, and I don't mean to sound like I'm arguing, it's more like me talking through my head. How could that cause it? Well, I can't think of any way it could, but maybe it could, maybe it's possible. Captain Bubba says, go to the chiropractor on your shoulder. You'd have to drag me kicking and screaming with a gun to my head to go to a chiropractor anymore. I've been to 3 or 4 chiropractors in my life, and I swore I'd never go to them. And these are different chiropractors, you understand. And each time I left, I was way worse off. So I'm never going to another chiropractor. You'd have to shoot me in the head. Scott Roberts, signing in late. What did I miss? Oh, never mind. I'll watch it later. Did you get Sue's mower fixed yet? Well, as you can tell, no, we didn't. Steve Mays, you can add wiring to the list. Maybe do the compression test. Yeah, a compression test I haven't done actually yet. But again, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, it could, I guess, heat up big enough where it loses compression. Maybe it could. But boy, it sure runs perfect for the first 10 minutes. I mean, like 10 minutes, it sounds like a brand new mower. It really does. I'm not just saying that. It sounds perfect. Yeah. Ronald Todd, sounds like the zero turn is down to fuel or air. You already took care of the fuel, so what's left? Air. Yeah, well, it's not air. I mean, hell, pardon me. Run it with the air filter off, and the air filter is perfectly clean anyway, and it's brand new. So, I mean, it can't be air, I don't think. How could it close off the air? It's right there going into the carb, I'm not saying it's not. I'm talking into my brain here and going like, I don't see how that could do that. Possible vapor lock. That one's a possibility, but I don't see how that would happen either, and why it would suddenly start happening after 20-some years. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's the fuel either, especially because we got a brand new carburetor on it and all that. So, yeah, if fuel had clogged it all up, then yeah. But I don't see how. Just don't get it. I don't get it. Beverly ain't no slouch as a super picker. Yeah, she'd be on the short list of super pickers. She's pretty good too. When I think of super picker, I mean a guy or a gal that can take a break on any song at any time, at any speed. Without, and Beverly's real close to that, but she's not quite like I think of D. Price and some of these other people, like Leon and those kind of people. These people can play anything, any instrument, and yeah, they're super pickers. She's right there. She's right there. She's super good on lots of instruments. She's about the best bass player I've ever known. She's really good on a bass. She's really good on a bass. She's getting good on her dobro, and she's pretty good on her guitar too. But overall, she's real good. She's way more of a super picker than I am. There's no question about that. But I still think I'm really being elite when I'm talking about like people like D. Price and like those boys down there in Springfield. Those guys are super pickers. Yeah, it's incredible. Benita Drager, has the cool weather helped reduce the insect problems? No, not at all. In fact, I was just out there this morning. Again, I was working with the tractor and implements, and it's broken twice. I started to bring that to show you. Pieces of steel the size of my thumb are breaking in half today. And those are the things that, hold the implements up, like the pin that holds the implement up. They're just breaking in half today. Why today? I don't know. But twice now I've broken pins. It's just nuts. And there's nothing binding. So, again, if it was obvious, I've already figured it out. It's not anything obvious. It's just like the pins are just old and weak and they just broke, is really what it amounts to. But it's just my typical luck. I'm trying to get something done out there. I'm trying to put some food plots in is what I'm trying to do, and it ain't having it. It's just not having it. But I started to answer your question about the insects. The horseflies are still bad, but they're not as bad as they've been in previous years. They're around this year, but they're not like they were last year. Last year they were terrible. I do think that the martins are starting to put a little bind in the horsefly population. They're picking them off during the low season, and there's not quite as many for the high season, if you will. But today, what I really did see in terms of insects was dragonflies. They were so thick out there in the field today, I'm telling you, thousands, just literally thousands of dragonflies. I've never seen anything like it. David Tharp says, I don't want to brag, but I don't need alcohol to say things I'll regret later. Bert Pichon, study the wiring diagram to see what it may have that you don't know about. Yeah, that's a possibility, but yeah, I've looked at the wiring diagram that either you or someone else sent to me, and I don't see nothing on there that makes any sense that would cause what I'm having, but I don't know. Maybe so. I'm at a loss at this point. Wavy gravy. It might be as simple as clogged up spit valve. Maybe not. Spit valve. Okay. Sue says, we should go shopping for a new mower. I'm having withdrawals. Kevin Allen, will the engine run if the flywheel had no magnet? No, because the magnet is goes to those 2 coils that go to the spark plug. That's where the magnet comes in. Now, those other coils that are in the inside, I think that's to charge the battery, I think. I don't know that for sure. Again, the electronics parts, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer on the electronics stuff. Ronald Todd says, good luck with that, Sue. Steve Mays, vapor lock won't start right back. Yeah, again, I agree, and I agree with that. That's why I keep thinking these things through in my head. It's like, maybe, but it doesn't seem like that. Like there's just too many other things. Like it'll die, and then literally you can, like instantly, within the same 5 seconds, you can start it right back up. That doesn't make sense, but it's just weird like that. Now, it doesn't run as good from that point on. After it dies that first time, it doesn't run as good, but it'll run, I don't know. It's just weird. Zappa, some folks have mentioned the governor on the mower. The governor is part of the carb, and you replaced that. Well, no, the governor's not actually part of the carb. It affects the carb. It connects to the carb, and it moves the carb, but the governor is actually built into the engine, and it's gear driven or something. I don't know a lot about the governor. That's one part of the engine. I'm not the sharpest knife again. I know a lot about, I know where the governor is, and I know it's connected, and I've looked at it and I don't see any problem with it, but I just don't know what to tell you on that. But it's not part of the carburetor. Zappa, Sue is jonesing bad. Okay, whatever that means. Let's see. Head gasket or bolts not torqued right. I don't think so. It may be, but I doubt it. I just don't have much faith that could be it. Maybe. You never know. Ben Boyd, look for the ECM module or spark timing module in the dash lights, under the dash lights. Yeah, there is no dash lights, if you will. There's this little metal panel where the switches are. I've looked under there. There's almost nothing under there. There's just nothing there. So I've looked everywhere. I've looked in the wheels. I've looked everywhere on this mower. There's no ECM that I can find. If it's there on that mower someplace, then somebody really went to a lot of trouble to hide it. And I don't see it anywhere. Ben Boyd, look for the ECM. Okay. Yeah. Wavy Gravy. Wonder where Dottie is today. She's at the doctor having, I don't know. I think she may be in there for the shingles thing. I'm not really sure. Hoping she can get relief for that. I only know that based on Ben Boyd's comment earlier. Gary Hayes, Jerry, Mr. Price sounded great on the song of the mandolin, sounded just as good. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I wrote it, so it should sound okay. No, I didn't have anything where it's just D playing, so that was the only thing I had where you could at least hear him play the banjo. And he's really a fine picker. He was really a fine picker. He really was. Yeah. Anyway, Chipwood, maybe a compromise with Miss Sue instead of a new mower. How about just a new engine? Yeah, well, I could be down to that. I just don't know what it is. And really, even if it's the engine, I'm not afraid to tear the engine apart and rebuild it if that's what I need to do. But I'm going to talk to this Rob guy first because he does know a lot about this stuff. Again, you believe what you want. I can't call people. I usually have Sue call whenever it's necessary to call. But this is one of the things where I need to talk to the guy. If I call, I either get an answering machine or I get a busy signal or I get just some random phone message that says, we cannot complete your call right now. You'll have to try again later. I'm not kidding you. I can't call anybody. It's been that way my whole life. Even when I worked at Bell, that's all I got was busy signals or answering machines. I never got through to anybody. Believe what you want. Just believe what you want. It's true. It's 100% true. I can't call anybody. I've been trying to call Rob. I've tried to call Rob 3 different times today. We cannot complete your call right now. You'll have to try later. Okay, fine. I tried later. It still couldn't do it. Chipwood, maybe a compromise. Oh, sorry, I read that one. Zappa, spark timing is by the spacing of the 2 coils. Yeah. Again, I don't think it's timing because it starts right up. If timing off would run rough. Yeah, it's not running rough. It runs perfect. Did you hear me say perfect? I mean, like, I don't think you could find a brand new engine that sounds better than this one running when it runs. Just telling you, it sounds perfect. Doesn't sound sort of good. It sounds perfect. Like it's exactly right. And then it just goes and dies. Makes no sense. Ronald Todd, if it's a governor problem, it would pulse and not run smoothly at all. Yeah, I agree with that. They do that up and down thing, or like if they're not getting gas, they'll if you got the jets too tight, they'll do that surging. Yeah, I just don't think it's anything like that. I don't know what it is. I really, at this point, if there's not some kind of an ECM or ECU on it, then the only thing I can think of is like people were saying, maybe it is a heating up thing where the rings are getting loose and it's losing compression. Maybe that's it. I've never experienced that before, and it's just weird that while that could be the problem, maybe, why does it start right back up even when it's hot? And it just goes ahead and runs and you can drive it back to the shop, you know? I just think it's tired of being a lawnmower and doesn't want to be a lawnmower anymore. That's what I'm thinking. Just like Leon's guitar. I started a couple lines on Leon's guitar. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I got a couple of ideas about that, writing that song. They're starting to come to me. So we'll see if that happens. Maybe I'll have to write one about this lawnmower too. Guys, that's going to be it. Thanks for the ideas. I'm not knocking anybody's ideas. That's not what I'm doing. I'm up here in my own head trying to think, well, how could that do that? Is that possible? Right now, I don't have any possibilities. I'm done. I can't think of anything else to try or do other than tear down the whole engine. And I just don't want to do that if I don't have to. So I'll talk to Rob first. Let's see. KRRA 5112. Try putting a continuity check between the coil and the ground. Run it until it causes a problem and see if the coil ground out by some. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I know how to do that. It's probably valid, but I don't know if I know how to do that, honestly. By the way, I put new coils on it. And it didn't change a thing. So I don't think that's it. So let me just say it that way. I see that was another thing that didn't make the list. You know, I'm seriously telling you, I don't think you can find anything on here, on that whole thing. I don't think you can name anything that I haven't tried or at least tried to do. Yeah, it's not in the ignition switch either, I don't think. I mean, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I don't see how it could be. This ignition switch itself shouldn't be getting hot. I mean, it's just an on-off thing. I don't know. I don't know. Russell Allen, it sounds like a wire connection that expands and when it gets hot and shortens. Yeah, well, I've tested the wires too, and I don't see a problem with that either. And like I said, I put all new coils on it, new wires going down to the spark plugs. Yeah, I don't know. It's possible. Still say it's. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I just don't see how it could be. Thanks, guys. I will see you tomorrow with something else. Maybe some things will quit breaking around here, and I can actually show you something. We'll see you then.